have this platform, we're normalizing it. Okay, but then what? Like, people need tangible things.
Right.
So where are the resources to therapists? Like, where do we have access to, because that's not just talk about mental health, but like, do we have access to healthier food options in our community, which plays a part of our mental health? Do we have access to free run clubs, like to have, physical, like all of that plays a part into how we operate. And so I never want to lose sight of that.
Yo, what's good with you? It's Nia Queen, and we are back for another episode. I haven't been feeling good this week, but seeing y'all today, like, I feel a lot happier. Like, I got my guy Chef Beanz here. Chef Beanz, the genius himself.
Oh, come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Small town kid.
Chef Beanz, and we also have a distinguished author here.
Ooh. Distinguished.
I like that.
HBCU graduate,
like
mental health advocate, social worker,
You a rapper?
Yes.
businesswoman, entrepreneur.
Okay. I like it. Come on.
Miss Rasheeda Jones.
Yes.
Good morning.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
I'm happy to have
Honored
you here.
to be here. Honored that y'all chose me to be here. Seriously.
It's divine. You can't question what's divine. You was meant to be here.
Right. Yes. And me and Beans were talking this week about how y'all met before. I didn't even know you knew Chef Beanz. I was just like, oh, she started following our page, and I saw the book, and I was just like, oh no. She got to be on the show.
That's why I'm saying how it is
show.
divine, because it's funny because I reached out to her, like, if you're ever interested, I see you doing your thing with the mental health and boom, boom. I'm part of a mental health podcast. And she said, nah, that's dope. So without us even communicating, that's how the stars aligned.
And they always do. They always align.
It was meant to be. It was written. It was written.
It was written. Okay, McTubb.
How are you guys doing this week? I want you to share a high and a low of the week.
I can go first. So how I'm feeling this week, I'm feeling more balanced now. I don't know if a person is ever really 100% balanced, just like my own theory, but I'm feeling a lot more balanced because I've been able to get to the root of what was making me feel unbalanced. And a lot of times I put a lot of pressure on myself to continue to do different things, so I had to perceive what success actually means to me and all these other overthinking thoughts. But once I realized I was overthinking, I was able to just and breathe. So I guess that's my highs and my lows. My lows is me questioning if I am where I feel as though I'm supposed to be, and the high came from me realizing that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Bars. My bad. All right, I'll stop with the class. But no, that's literally how I think. What about you, Rasheeda? What's been a high and a low of your week?
I'm on spring break, and this week has been good.
Spring break from what?
So I'm a counselor. I'm a middle school counselor, and we're on spring break right now. And ideally, I would have liked to be in Jamaica, right? But the way that things happen, I had the opportunity to go visit a school and speak to some kids. Yesterday, I was a part of an opportunity to bail out a black mom at Linwood Jail. And so a lot of powerful things happened this week that were way beyond that I can even imagine, like giving me that feeling of fulfillment,
right?
And being at Jamaica. Although I would have loved to be there, like those two opportunities this week was like very fulfilling.
It's a different type of joy.
It's a different type of joy that I'm still processing. Like, I'm still sitting in it like, dang, I just was a part of something so dope. The low would be, because it's spring break, I have not touched the sand or water. So today I'll probably go take my bike and just have a moment to myself, because this week I was pouring a lot into a lot of other people and things. And so I haven't had the opportunity to just sit with myself. So that's like the low, that, okay, you had spring break, you had this opportunity, it's time to go sit and be with yourself.
Right.
So that's like the low.
Okay.
Creating the balance that you were just talking about.
Right. And I definitely had to do that for myself yesterday, because this week for me hasn't been the greatest. My godfather passed away this week, and I think it's just hard for me to see other people in pain too, because that's my dad's best friend, like, since high school. So seeing him all messed up, like, it was just like, dang, this is terrible. This is sad. But I realized all the stuff that I do, and then on top of, you know, dealing with tragedy, I was just like, this is too much. This is too much. Like, I have to take a break. So, you know, I told my boss about everything that happened, and I was just like, I'm taking a sick day. Like, I can't, you know, I need to take care of myself. I need to take that time to take care of myself. But my high for the week is yesterday I went to Napoli Naturals, you know, in Leimert Park, and I got to meet the owners, and they were interested in Kid Onyx, and the owner bought a pack of cards off of me off the spot. Like, she was like, oh yeah, I want to post this, and that just like gave me, you know, so much joy, because I'm like, other people are seeing the value in what I'm bringing to the table. And it's like, these people are established, you know, businessmen, businesswomen, entrepreneurs. So it meant a lot to, you know, see that recognition from people who are established. Right. You know, so that really made me happy, and it just makes me optimistic for Kid Onyx. And I know that, you know, even when there are hard times, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, it doesn't last forever. So yeah, I was really excited about that. I'm just excited to work more on Kid Onyx and put, you know, more money behind it, because I'm seeing that it does have a lot of value. So yeah, you know, that's my high and low for the week. But enough about me. That's not why we're here.
Well, condolences, though. I want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
We can't just pass through that.
Yeah,
and
thank you
like
for that.
You didn't say that, so honoring him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Before we get into our interview, I do have a special announcement. So I submitted What's Good With You podcast to this contest called Podcast by Racket. And we actually won some money, y'all. For the podcast. Yeah, where's the class?
Where's the class?
We won some money. I mean, I could believe it, but just
don't have me going.
No, because I know you be like, you deserve this, you know.
And y'all do.
Yeah,
so
yeah. It's been what, 2 years I've been doing this now. Yeah, and just I'm happy to see my hard work starting to pay off. Right. Because sometimes there are times where I'm like, dang, I'm spending a lot of bread on this, and I'm not seeing nothing in return. Like, should I just stop? And then, you know, stuff like this happens, and I'm like, come on, let's keep going. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of times the return can be things that we don't even see. The return can be things if there was a woman struggling with body image insecurities, and we had a podcast where we were untangling that, or someone who may have had suicidal thoughts, and after they heard our last interview, it gave them the courage to actually seek therapy. So I feel as though there will be a lot more reward that we won't physically see, and the value that we give out to people will continue to multiply, not just like financially, but on other magnitudes. People are really going to start reaching out to us, and it's like contest, competition, different things like that literally are going to be sent to us to submit, because we are providing that value to people all over the world.
Right. It's not always about, like you said, the financial side, but it is about, you know, the reason why I created it, so that people can start getting help. Yes. You know, and start having a better, you know, understanding of themselves. So, yeah, it's a bigger purpose. It's bigger than me. So, yeah, I'm just excited about that, because it's just like, you know, a little pat on the back for me. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely had to announce that. But the reason we are here today is to talk about, and I wanted to talk about the book, but now I want to talk about everything, because it's just like, it's so many things. But you wrote a book titled Justice. And why don't you tell people about it in your own words?
Okay. So should I give the background of it, or just talk about the book?
Well, just tell us a little brief description of the book first, and then we'll get into it. Yeah.
Okay, so Justice is a children's book, self-published. It's about a young boy who has difficulty expressing his feelings about his dad's incarceration. And then so he has a visit with his dad. They have this moment together, and he develops this courage and this bravery, like, all right, I'm going to live in my truth. And so from that moment on, he goes and he shares with his friends, like, hey, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm experiencing. Here are coping skills to help you get through it too. Then he realized, like, hey, I'm not alone. And so that's basically the concept of the book, that he's struggling and he ends up being able to, you know, again, develop that moment with his dad, to share with others, to help others. And so that's really what the book is about. And that's who Justice is.
What inspired you to write a book like Justice? Because you are a LA native, correct?
Yes.
Like we spoke about, LA native, Cal State, then Clark, Atlanta. You feel me? You went from West Coast, East Coast, East Coast, West Coast type thing. What inspired you to write a book like Justice?
Personal experience, personal knowledge, personal skill set all played a part in this project. And so I, too, was a kid who had my dad incarcerated. I, too, was a kid who had my brother incarcerated. My brother's incarcerated. Like, my family has had this streamline of incarceration. And so I found a way to cope through writing. Like, writing was my outlet. And so as I developed, as I became a social worker, as I became a children's therapist, I'm like, let me use my healing and give the kids, the community, something that they need. And so that inspired it. So my healing with writing, and then seeing that there's a gap and there's a need for it.
Right.
And so how can I fill this gap? How can I fill the need? This was a no-brainer to put my passion, my purpose, and what I do every day into one project, and to see it come to what it is today.
Wow. Yeah. And see, this is why it's so important to have, you know, representation in mental health. Because think about before this book existed, like, it probably was nothing out there like it. You know,
I've never read anything like it.
I've never read anything like it, but it happens. It happens. I work in this community too, and I work with kids and their parents is not around, whether they're incarcerated or, you know, on drugs or whatever the case may be.
Or just never came home from the store.
Man.
Or vacation.
Man. And they have to deal with that. Right. And they have to deal with that or not know how to deal with it. And it comes out in different ways. So that's what the main thing that inspired me to bring you on the show is because it's like, dang, we need this.
And let me say, it is books out there like this. Not like this per se, but talking about the topic. They are a bit dated because I did do my research with anything that I do to see like where I can fit. The key word that you said, though, is representation. And so I was just having this conversation recently, like, okay, they had it in the form of a bunny or like a dinosaur, or like they have it like where they
do that a lot. Yeah,
they downplay like our reality, and reality is we're not bunnies.
I'm not a dinosaur.
We're not rabbits.
Right.
We're not dinosaurs.
I'm not a Tyrannosaurus
like,
Rex.
Rabbits daddies don't go to jail. Like, let's be honest. Let's be transparent. Let's give the people what we need. Like, let's see ourselves and our experiences in literature. And so we see it on TV a lot, right? But are we seeing it in literature? Are we promoting literature? And so that's where, again, I wanted to represent me being an LA native, represent my family, represent our HBCUs. Like, I was very intentional with doing that because I understand the importance of representation, especially in mental health.
I wanted to ask you, because you are an HBCU graduate, and I mean, maybe I'm giving HBCUs a little bit too much credit, but did going to a HBCU kind of put the fire in you to like do something in the community, or you think you were already like that before? What do you think? Because I have my opinion on it, but
I already was who I was before. I went to a HBCU. I always been passionate. I always, wanted to volunteer and give back. So that part of me already was there. But me going to a HBCU like gave me more purpose. It gave me a community. It gave me love. It gave me comfort. I was able to identify more of who I was, like a self-awareness, like I'm a girl in this black world, like this was our world, especially at Clark, where I have all of these black distinguished men, like these women, and it just was a community. So I walked with a little bit more pride, like my head was held a little bit more high. I wasn't getting no's, like I wasn't, at Cal State LA, let's be honest, like people were telling me no, like I didn't deserve to be there. So when I go to a HBCU, like there was an expectation of me, like, no, you're going to write this thesis. Like, you can do it. You're going to study abroad. And nobody questioned it. They were all supportive. And so HBCU, like, please big them up, because sometimes we find our way in HBCU spaces, and so our kids need to know that, especially coming from Los Angeles. Like, we're a melting pot here.
Right.
And so there's not a lot of representation where they're like, okay, you can do it. It's more so like, if you do it, good job, but if you don't, you know?
Right.
So, yes, please big up.
Yeah, I feel like just going to a HBCU, in my experience, just gave me a little more confidence in, like, I can accomplish anything, you know? So maybe before, I would have never started, you know, Kid Onyx. If I didn't go, I probably could have been like, oh, well, I don't know if I can do it. Or, you know, I probably would have doubted myself. But now that I see other HBCU grads being entrepreneurs, creating these products for the community, I'm inspired to do what it is that I'm going to do. So that's the thing I love about HBCUs, you know.
Shout out Clark Atlanta University, find a way or make a way. Like, that is the motto.
Right.
Well, I didn't go to HBCU, but I'm the bros. We were founded at HBCU. Yeah. So I have my HBCU scratch taken care of. But what I was going to say, I think your book is also very important, because when it comes to just the nurture aspect of a person, it happens during youth. Like, your youthful aspect is when you're most impressionable. And a lot of times when people talk about incarceration, it's not until they feel as though you're mature enough to handle this conversation or whatever. I mean, there are people out there who know they're visiting their parents in jail or whatever, and it's not glamorized. But for the most part, there are a lot of parents who dress it up as something that is not, and it's not until later that, well, this is actually what the situation was. The book is very transparent, but still has the grace to where it's digestible to any age group. So I want to give you your flowers for that, because even though I was watching it, I can see how someone younger can download it. And even myself, I'm like, though my parents weren't necessarily incarcerated during my youth, actually, I don't really know their business like that. I'm not here to say during my youth, like, but what I'm saying is I definitely have family members and friends and peers and all those different things. But this book just really provides another voice and angle for people to be able to not just talk about it, also heal from it as well.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
I wanted to ask you, because you said that you wrote the book based on your experience and for the need for it. When you were growing up, how was that presented to you, as far as, like, how did you find out that your father was, you know, going to be in prison? Like, how was that for you as a child?
You know, like, because my dad was always there, and, like, God bless his soul, he's no longer here, but because he was there, like, during moments that were important, like birthdays, graduations, I never felt like, at least at the time, that his absence was missed, because I had a village around me.
Right. Okay.
So it wasn't until I was an adult where, you know, as an adult, we realized, like, oh, that was trauma, or till you develop that self-awareness. So as a young girl, I didn't feel like my dad's incarceration affected me. It was more so my brother's incarceration that affected me, because I seen how it affected my mom. Like, I seen how it affected everyone else around us. So not necessarily my dad, but it was my brother. And they were honest, like, he's in jail, but he's in jail for something that he didn't do. And so that added a different level of feelings, because it's like the judicial system has now taken something we love for something that wasn't even, like, valid. And so, again, a lot of feelings played into that, and I hope I'm answering the questions. I experienced a lot of emotions, because I'm impacted from different areas. Like, so it was hard. It was very hard. Yeah. And then again, having to hide that, like, okay, to the family, he's in jail, but when we go to school, like, you lying. Like,
he's on vacation.
He's on vacation, but we know what jail is, and we're praying to God that, you know, he comes home soon. So I was living two different, like, at home, I'm one way,
two different lives,
but at school, I'm pretending as though there's this nuclear family, and but it wasn't really that.
Because kids are smart. Kids know,
they're gonna figure it out.
Your pop's been on vacation since 2003. He's traveling the world. I looked up some data, and it said, I believe 1 in 14 kids or people under the age of 18 has at least one parent incarcerated. I think it's 1 out of 9 for kids of color. So that should show you, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, at least one of them have a parent who's who's incarcerated or was incarcerated. So when I'm saying like it's more common than we think, and it's something that people don't talk about enough.
Because of that, like, because it's sometimes considered the norm. Like, why are we talking about, like, it's normal that I'm yelling free such and such, like, but it's not normal that United States has the biggest incarceration here. Like, that's not normal.
Right. Yeah,
and
that's
so
not
we need
normal.
to talk about how people are being impacted.
And it's more, and I realize there are people who get more excited about, no, let me just be completely vulnerable.
Please.
I'm going to be just a little more vulnerable. I didn't know this was going to come up, but part of the reason why I moved to LA is because I felt like a lot of things were being celebrated versus other things. For example, I feel like more people were celebrating more, this person is about to come home, as opposed to this person just started a business, or this person just wrote a book, or this person, like, why are we always celebrating, yo, we gonna throw a big block party because this person had to sit down for 5 years and now. So when I say be a lot more vulnerable, like you're saying, what we see on social media or text messages, free this person, free that person. Not saying it shouldn't be celebrated, but there's always a lot of great things happening. So I don't know. It's just, it may be the commonality as far as things that people are talking about, but it doesn't have to be the norm. So we find ways of overcoming that, or at least talking about it in the most healthy way, as opposed to how can I respond to the situation with violence, even if it's like externally, internally, because that internal destruction is happening a lot when it comes to different things like that. You can't even say prison around people without them internally feeling like their esteem is depleting for whatever reason, because they couldn't bring dad to bring parent to school day. They didn't know what to say. Oh, what does your parent do for a living? And you're like, my mom does it. What about your dad? He's a construction worker. You trying to think of something to say. He's a world traveler.
Right. I wanted to ask you, because you are also in the mental health field as well as experiencing this. And I don't know if you guys watch Bel-Air, but there was a scene, this is spoiler alert, there's a scene in the last episode where he finally meets his father after being gone for like 13 years. And his father was talking about he was incarcerated, but they never told him that he was incarcerated.
Right.
But the character Will, he explains like how he felt abandoned because he just thought his dad was gone. Nobody told him that his dad was locked up. And he was like, why didn't you write to me? Why didn't you, let me visit you, all this stuff? And he was just like, I didn't want you to see me like that. And so the question is, do you think that it's harmful to hide that from the child? Like, if the parent is locked up, do you think it's better to just tell them the truth or to spare them?
This is for me.
Yeah, both of you guys can answer. Both of you guys can answer, but
I'm gonna go a silly route. If you want to be you can take the serious route. I'm gonna go to silly route.
Okay, so let me give you serious before we get silly. I think that it's helpful. Like, again, we want to be honest. Like, we have to learn how to live in our truth. And if daddy is in jail, let's tell the kid that daddy is in jail. Now, you can keep details as to why, for whatever reason, just because, but no, there's still opportunity to build a relationship. Just because a person is incarcerated, it doesn't take away the fact that they're still educators. They still can provide love no matter what. And that's what was given to me. Like, all of my wisdom and a lot of my decisions was given from my brother, we were separated miles and miles apart, but I still was able to get that. So why deny a child from receiving that, or anyone from receiving that?
Right.
And that was a message in the book. Like, regardless of the circumstances that the dad was in, he still was able to give a lifelong lesson. And so you would be hurting a child to remove those experiences or cut those experiences short because you're trying to save one feeling versus what a child could get. Right. So that's my serious. You can go ahead.
Go ahead. You just bodied that. I don't know if I want to be. I was just gonna say, what they say, what Mario Weiner said. I don't want to know if you know what I mean. Some things, some things maybe you can't grow with. But nah, what you said, you hit it on those. I was just gonna be silly, but I 100% echo your same sentiments. I feel like communicating that, operating with that level of transparency, because again, we talked about it weeks before, the Disney trauma. This is how life is going to be. You're going to grow up, you're going to graduate high school at this time, go to college, meet a Prince Charming, boom, live happily ever after. And I think that same thing can be glamorized when it comes to hiding certain truths. Oh, your dad is not incarcerated. He's actually doing this. And now he's doing that. I know freestyled a little bit earlier, but I honestly do feel as though it's like erosion. How erosion is when, dirt and things deteriorate. I feel like that same metaphorically, that gap inside a child can grow. The more and more you keep telling them lies, it's just expansions of this gap that they're trying to fill. But if there's never the right answer, once the truth does hit them, it's only going to attribute to the demise of what was already being grown. So
right, exactly. I
honestly,
think it's just better to just tell the truth.
Yes.
Like, eventually, they're going to find out because they're going to grow up and figure it out. So they're either going to be mad at you for not telling them the truth, or they're just going to be devastated. Like, you can't escape that. Right. It's going to be pain. It's going to be pain.
But what it also can do is it can plant a seed, right? So let's just say, for example, my brother was in jail for something he didn't do. Like, the seed was planted that he's in there unjustly, okay? So, and then I wanted to study law. So my mom put me in like a law program at Dorsey High School. And then from there, like, I literally took the opportunity to learn policy, to learn law, which put me in a position to develop a power that I have. Like, I have a voice in what goes on and what is said. And so imagine you planting a seed to little kids as to what they can be, instead of always planting a seed of being a basketball player or a football player or a doctor. Like, you can be so many different things to be able to be in a position to advocate to where we can end mass incarceration, to where daddy don't have to be in jail, to where your cousin doesn't have to be in jail, because now we have a seat at the table. And so I just wanted to add that, like, you can really give the voice to the kids with being transparent.
Stop lying to these kids, y'all. Tell them the truth, because kids can sense things. Even if you hide things, they can sense it. They can feel your energy. They know that something is up, and you don't want them to grow up to resent you for holding these things away from them. So just tell the kids the truth, y'all. Tell
them the truth, man. They engaged in a lot of different things. Just be honest. Especially they're engaged in a lot of different activities. And speaking of activities, Rasheeda, don't you have an activity book that echoes justice?
I do have an activity book.
Tell us about it.
So when you tell them the truth, don't just allow this truth to sit, because feelings are going to come from the truth. So what I created was an activity book.
Whoa, didn't even see that there.
So the purpose of the activity book was, okay, you have, it kind of strengthens family relationships. So if your loved one is incarcerated or post-incarceration or whatever the case may be, after you read Justice, you now have the opportunity to bond and build. I always say, like, when I went into the visiting room to visit my brother, we caught up, and because it's been such a long time, we only have 15-minute conversations, but when we got in the visiting room, it was just, okay, we're playing catch-up. But we never got the opportunity to really, like, sit and explore, like, those feelings, or to explore more of who we was. And so when I created this book, I'm like, no, like, let me put questions, let me put activities to where, as a parent, you can see exactly how I'm feeling. You can learn my coping skills. As a kid who's experiencing them, I can develop coping skills. And so this activity book was very important to pair with the book, because, okay, now you have this message. What are tangible tools we can give these kids to cope?
That's amazing right there. Like, that is amazing right there. I'm sorry, I'm just a little, like, mind blown, but I think that's some of the reason why, parents aren't honest, because they don't know how to deal with the aftermath. They don't have the coping skills to give their child to deal with this pain. So that is amazing. Wow, that is amazing.
But sometimes the adults don't have it. Like, let's be honest.
The adults don't
the
have it.
The kids don't have it because the adults don't have it.
Right, exactly.
And not because they don't want to have it, but because life is happening. Like, they're trying to provide. They're trying to keep lights on. There's so many different factors that sometimes they just don't have the capacity to do it. But put this book in front of you, like, let's make time, because bonding time is important. Like, building family relationship is important. Like, having those deep connections is important. So again, a great opportunity to do so.
That's great. What has the reception of the book and the activities, like, what has that been like for you?
I just want to say thank God. Like, how you know something is good, because you put your blood, sweat, tears, finances in something, so like, okay, this is gonna be a hit, right? And so it's been received well. I was able to get bestseller on a website called Book Baby.
Talk about
wow, yes.
I was able to do that. And then I was able to go into a school to present to fourth graders to talk about it, and they read it, and which was this week, and that was amazing. So it is being received very well. I just didn't think it would be at that capacity so soon.
Wow.
So
when did you put it out?
January 15th.
Of this year?
Of this year.
Oh, wow.
January 15th, I put it out, and people are supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was telling you earlier, like, people are supporting it, but I really want people to read it and, like, go through it.
No matter your age group.
No matter your age group, because everyone can take something from it. I had adults like, I wish this was around when I was a kid.
Right.
Like, I wish this is something that I had. So I always say it's a children's book, but it's literally for everyone.
Right.
So that's the thing. As adults, we got to find more time to speak to our inner child. This book is a great opportunity. Come on.
Come on.
You know this man is genius.
Where the sound effects?
Come on, man. This book is an opportunity for you to speak to your inner child. Because like I said, I wasn't necessarily in the position where I had to say my parents are incarcerated. But I do remember times when I didn't know how to respond to certain questions in school. Mm-hmm. Or just like keeping in a stack. So this book helps you not only see it from the lens of a parent being incarcerated, but literally how to untangle things as a youth and different coping mechanisms. Imagine if certain resources were available or just presented when you were younger, that you haven't healed from now as an adult, and you take it out on the people who you run into. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and everybody go buy this book. Go buy this book. Your teacher, parent, whatever it is.
Therapist, caregiver.
Right. And the most beautiful part about that book to me was when he finally told his class about it, and all these kids came and like, hey, I'm going through that too. My auntie is locked up, or my brother is locked up. It's like that sense of relief that he got, and that reassurance, and even his teacher saying, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And also, like, it's important for the teachers or whoever the adults are in their life, like, don't just assume that the kid is bad or the kid is not. You know what I'm saying? Because they so quick. They so quick to write off these little black kids as this or ADHD and all this other stuff. Right. And I'm like, come on, like, it might be something deeper, going on. A lot of times people don't realize that trauma symptoms can look like ADHD. People don't know that though. They just ready to
talk heavy, like you ain't got your certificates. Like you don't know the knowledge.
They ready to give your kids all these pills and stuff to make them sleepy during the day, and it's just like, why don't we just address the trauma? Why don't we talk about how his dad is incarcerated and how that's making him feel, and give him the coping skills so that he's not acting that way? But you got to put the time in order to do that, because I think it's beautiful that this child was able to tell his truth, but some children don't know what to do with their truth. They don't know what to do.
And they transmute it into violence. They transmute it into rebellion. They transmute it into all these different things, man.
Right.
If only they had like mental notes or something to help them out,
I like what you did there, man. I like what you did there.
I'm trying to drop a triple double today.
Because Rasheeda is not just an author, but she also is an entrepreneur, and she creates products for mental wellness, and she has mental notes.
I do. So
I didn't even know that.
Again, I did mention that writing was a part of the way in which I heal. And so during the pandemic, I came up with a business called Mental Note by Imani. And so what that is, it's a platform to promote mental health in the Black community. And so what I do is I blog through my own experience about mental health. And I'm, again, very transparent in my trauma and relationships and friendships and just me finding my why and my purpose. And so that's a platform that I created for people to be vulnerable. And then I also have Writing Wednesdays, where I put a prompt, allow people to write, and that's the thing, like, you write to cope. Let's just say if you wrote to cope, you can also feature the work on Fridays, and it's like a feature Friday.
Wow.
And so I do co-host a segment with a good friend of mine, Alton. Shout out to him because he's very supportive. But we create space to just come in, talk about what we're going through, and then we write. So I was like, okay, all of this is good. All of this is good information that I'm giving out. How can I receive? And so it took me 2 years. I created these mental note cards, and they're not out yet. So y'all are the first to see them.
Oh, we getting exclusive. We official.
My 2-year anniversary of mental note is coming up next week, and that's when I'll release it. But basically, the mental note cards are broken up into 6 pieces. And so I have affirmations. So you'll have cards of affirmations, of different quotes, of different songs, coping skills, activities, and writing prompts. So they're broken up into 6 categories.
That's fine.
And each time you could just pick something if you need an affirmation for the day.
Just take my money now.
If you need a writing prompt, if you need a quote. And it's all about promoting like your self well-being. Like how self-aware are you? How much love are you pouring into yourself? And so again, using this just to normalize coping, normalize mental health, normalizing the fact that writing is healing. Like
yes.
Writing is healing, music is healing, and in a way that's cool. Like this is our age.
This is amazing.
So this is not for children. This is more so for the adults. Yes.
Okay. Yes. These adults need it too.
Yes.
Because they don't know how to cope either.
Adults are just bigger children.
Right. Big kids. But okay. I like how you got it into different categories. Wow. Oh, I can't wait to buy this.
Feel good
I can't
music,
wait to buy this.
good writing prompts, and it's all to promote your best self, like to get you to your best self.
And I could use this in my treatment with my clients.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes I'll be like, dang, what are we going to talk about today? You know, this kind of gives you, wow, how many cards? It seems like a lot. How many? Is it like 100 or something?
A little over 100.
Okay.
A little over 100.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And then also I see like stuff like Nina Simone and so
like
this is
songs
for
like feel
for
good.
Us, you know what I'm saying? This for us.
Anyone can benefit because you know how everyone loves the culture. Like,
right.
We are the bluept. So
right.
I think everyone.
Everybody's gonna like
sure.
it. Yeah.
But anything that I do, I make sure that our culture is represented for sure.
It's important to be culturally competent when you're dealing with mental health, especially in the Black community and even in the Hispanic community, because even working with them, I know that they're not like just readily to talk about mental health. That's just not a part of their, culture. So I think this will help normalize mental health. Like everything that we're doing, even this show is like helping normalize mental health so people can, start feeling more comfortable with it. And then we have Rasheeda with all these great products. So y'all need to get this stuff.
Because I truly believe that, okay, so we normalize it. We have this platform, we're normalizing it. Okay, but then what? Like, people need tangible things.
Right.
So where are the resources to therapists? Like, where do we have access to, because that's not just talk about mental health, but, like, do we have access to healthy food options in our community, which plays a part of our mental health? Do we have access to free run clubs, like, to have, physical, like, all of that plays a part into how we operate. And so I never want to lose sight of that, because it's one thing to normalize it and have a platform. All right, now what tools can we give people? People ain't operating just off inspiration, motivation alone. Like,
you gotta give them.
Some people
like you said,
really
something
need
tangible.
like step 1, step 2, step 3. We have to meet people where we are. We know that.
Yeah.
Like in social work. So I'm always big on. All right, we talking about it now. What people need things to actually do.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Like, I really want to buy these right now because I need that. But you just have so much great things out here, and it's helping the community. And I appreciate you. I appreciate both of y'all, but I appreciate you because it's just like, it's inspiring as well, because I'm seeing a young woman entrepreneur doing what, is passionate to you and what's important to you. So, yeah. Let's clap it up for Rasheeda.
Let's clap it up again.
Let's clap it up for Rasheeda.
I don't think I ever pressed the clap button this much ever.
I know. It's like we got to give people their flowers right now. Like, we got to give people their flowers right now. Did you have any other announcements, any upcoming events that you wanted to let the people know?
I don't. Like, this is, I was mentioning, like, this is my now, and I'm working on being more present. And so now it's just, this book is taking me places, and I want to say that here. Like, I truly believe that this is this is going to take me very far. And so just embracing what comes with that. I'm getting my license very soon, my LCSW.
Okay.
So just speaking that into existence. And, you know, people are asking for part 2s. It's just so much. But
Right.
again, creating that balance, because I want to be consistent. I want to give everything 100%, if
Right.
that makes sense. So, like, once a month, I do, with the organization I'm a part of, Initiate Justice, we hold a once a month meeting for people who are impacted by incarceration. So if anyone ever is feeling called to hop on that, it's every third Monday from 6 to 7:30 on Zoom. You can look it up, Initiate Justice. And then I have my writing circles, which are once a month. You can follow me, mental note _by _Imani. That's pretty much it. Like, the summer, the sky is the limit.
Right. That's a lot. You said that's it. Like, it's not a lot, but you got a lot going, and definitely want to highlight that and share that with our audience, because it aligns exactly what we're trying to do. Beanz, did you have anything coming up?
Anything coming up? My birthday is June 3rd. I'm aiming to do the next Transparency Jersey in Jersey on my birthday, so that'll be pretty cool. Outside of that, season 4 of Transparency, about to start shooting that at Comfort LA, bring it back to the digital series, you know what I mean, where it started at. All things transparency.
I got some stories for you.
Oh, yeah, you know, I already know. Might need to make some characters off of that, but outside of that, before I transition, I want to give both of y'all flowers. You feel me, Nia? You doing your thing. I know you work very hard. Sometimes you're hard on yourself. Just know it's not going in vain, and you will continue to receive the fruits of your labor. Mm-hmm. You too, Rasheeda. This is an amazing resource that people need, and it's in a very digestible way. Sometimes when people hear mental health or therapists or different, I ain't crazy. What I need? I don't need that for. But it's kind of it's something that people download, and it's like, dang, I didn't even know I needed that. So keep up the great work, both of you. I just want to take the time to give both of y'all powerful black women y'all flowers. Y'all doing y'all thing, and just know this is only the beginning.
Right, this is only the beginning. Thank you for that, Beanz. I wanted to mention that earlier. Like, this man always encouraging me, because I do downplay myself a lot, and I don't know where that comes from yet, but I do need to start being a little less humble. Like, no, Nia, you're killing it. You're killing it. You're out here doing it. You're out here working. You're out here moving, shaking. And I need to take a little bit more pride in that. So I'm going to work on that. But I'm glad I have people like Beanz in my life to remind me sometimes. Because sometimes you do need that reminder, because we could be so hard on ourselves because we know the vision and how big we want it to be. So we're not even thinking about, appreciating the moment and where we are.
Right.
So, I'm right where I need to be. I'm right where I need to be. And for me, Kid Onyx, we on TikTok, we on Instagram, Facebook. I'm going to try to start getting it into some local bookstores. If you go into Napoli Naturals, we got some pamphlets in there. I got some business cards in there. So, check us out. And what's good with you? Follow us on all social media platforms. We doing good on TikTok, by the way.
Yo, I know.
We've been getting a lot of likes.
I know.
And I'm like, y'all paying attention.
I got some TikTok dances that we need to get them on the What's Good With You podcast. hey, baby. I've been practicing. Been waiting for this moment all week.
We going up on TikTok, y'all. So check us out on there. This will be on YouTube, and we will have all the links to Rasheeda's products in the description. And this has been another episode of What's Good With You. We out of here.
Wagwan.
Bye.
All right.